Hyperliquid moves too fast for polling. In this video, we will learn how we can stream every trade in real time using Quicknode's HyperCore data streams. So without any ado, let's jump into it. So before understanding about HyperCore data streams, let's do a small recap of Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid has two main sections in its state execution. One is HyperEVM, which is your standard EVM virtual machine section. All the EVM native methods you are very familiar with. You can use Solidity to deploy smart contracts. You can use familiar methods like ETH call, ETH block number, etc. To access HyperEVM part of Hyperliquid, you just have to sign up for a Hyperliquid endpoint, and then you can use all of these standard EVM JSON RPC methods. What you need to do is you just need to update your endpoint with a suffix EVM, and then you can access all the standard EVM methods. Then comes HyperCore. HyperCore is basically the soul of Hyperliquid. This is where everything related to trading like spots, perps, oracles stays. And to access HyperCore, what you can do is just update your EVM endpoint with a info suffix. Then you can access information related to exchange, accounts, or market data. But this doesn't give you real-time on-chain order book data. So for that, Hyperliquid has data streams. Using data streams, you can access the following data sets real-time and historically from the on-chain order book. A data stream is a continuous feed of data where the data is sent to you as soon as it happens on-chain. For Hyperliquid, this is very crucial. Your alerts, dashboards, bots, risk analysis systems need live changes, not stale snapshots. Once you subscribe, you don't receive random messages. You receive a consistent block envelope with timing, block number, and an events array. The envelope remains the same, but the shape of events array keeps on changing based on the type of data set. But Hyperliquid is very fast, and streaming live on-chain data in real time can be like a fire hose. Your app can easily get overwhelmed and you can get a lot of unnecessary data. That is where you need a filter. Filtering this data stream is how you turn it into a targeted feed your app can actually use. There are multiple filters based on the specific stream type or data set. For example, these are for the trades data stream, these are for orders data stream, so on and so forth. Another important thing to keep in mind while using or working with filters is that the filter logic works on two things. First one is and, the second one is or. Whenever you have to filter between two fields, as you can see over here, where we are saying that give me the trades related to BTC where someone is buying it, which is basically side B or the direction of the trade. And the or is used whenever you want to filter within fields. For example, we are saying that give me all the trades where the coin field has BTC or ETH or HYPE. So this is what you have to keep in mind. Similarly, this example says that give me all the trades where coin field has either BTC or ETH where both of them are being bought or they are buy transactions. And if you want to do a complex operation, which is not possible with either and or, you can use multiple filters by denoting each filter with a filter name field. For example, over here, we are saying that give me all the trades related to BTC, where side is B, again being bought, but also give me all the trades related to ETH, where ETH is being sold. So in this case, you will have to do two filters instead of just one. So what these filter will achieve is it will give you any trade wherever BTC is being bought, or it will give you any trade or every trade wherever ETH is being sold. So this is how filters work. Now let's see how you can actually set up data streams. To set up data streams, there are three options. The first is via using gRPC, which is the most performant method, where you can create a bidirectional stream between the client side and the server side and get all the updates. The second one is JSON RPC via the JSON RPC API, which is the most common one and which all of us are very familiar with. This can be used to get historical data. And the third one is via using WebSocket API. But I would highly recommend you as a user myself to use gRPC streaming API or basically gRPC. So what we will be creating is a Rails tracker where we will track certain transactions related to BTC and ETH above certain limits as you can see, above 50k, about 250k, and above 1 million. And we will place each transaction based on the amount being traded into a category where the amount is equal to or above 50k will be in whale category, the amount is equal to or above 250k will be in a certain other category, and the amount is equal to or above 1 million in US dollars will be under certain category. So what we will be doing basically is we will get the execution price, which is px, and we will multiply it with the execution size, and that is how we can get the amount of tokens being traded. And then we will print all of them, and we will average out for last 30 seconds which were the biggest trades, and also print those. So this is what we will be creating. I won't be going over the entire script because it will be too long for the video, but I will explain key parts of the code so that you can understand it, and the entire code will be linked in the description below. So let's get started. We are seeing a gRPC example because gRPC is a better option for doing bidirectional communication with server and client, and it does not have any polling overheads like your WebSockets has. So that is why we are choosing gRPC. So the first thing in gRPC is that you need to have a proto file, which is a protocol buffer file, and basically it's an IDL file. These proto files conceptually are very similar to ABI files if you have ever worked with smart contracts on EVM. So ABI helps your client communicate with blockchain virtual machines, and in this case proto files or protocol buffer files help your client communicate with servers. And this is required because gRPC is not exactly JSON over HTTP, and it uses protocol buffer to define schema which both the sides, client and server, agrees on. For example, what kind of messages exist, what does a request message looks like, what does a response message looks like, which fields are available in those messages and their types, etc. Once you have your proto file set up, let's go to our index file, and over here we are just importing a bunch of stuff. Then over here we are getting our gRPC endpoint and auth token. So this is an important thing while working with the gRPC endpoint. So how you set up your gRPC endpoint is you take your Quicknode endpoint, which looks something like this. Don't worry, I'll change the authentication token and it won't remain the same. And you remove whatever the suffix or slug is behind the endpoint. Then you remove the HTTPS because it does not work over HTTPS. It's its own protocol, and you separate this token with the URL. Then you add a 10,000 port number because gRPC for HyperCore data streams is exposed on 10,000 port number. You copy this, and this goes over here, and this authentication token goes over here. But this is not at all recommended. Whenever you are working with API keys, you do not save them in code, or you do not save them in environment variables, so that you never by mistakenly push them to a public repository or share them publicly. So in this case, we will be providing these secrets for the terminal session. Over here, we are just defining constants for different whale tiers. Then we have the timing, that how much will be the rolling window for leaderboard. Then after how much interval we should show the leaderboard, and what will be the top 5. Then we are loading the proto file and loading the schema from the proto file so that Node can create a client with stream data and ping methods. Then we are authenticating the authorization token, which is this. We have not provided it yet, but we will be providing it to the Node environment before running the code. So this is how Quicknode authenticates your authentication token. Then we have few helper functions, first to format USD and then determine which kind of whale we are working with. Then over here we are establishing the client rule, then sending the ping to client, then finally subscribing to the stream on our client. Since the data stream on gRPC also returns Pong, so we are just ignoring Pong. Once we receive the event, we are only considering the taker side so that we do not double count trades, because what happens is in every trade there are takers and makers, but we just want to consider one side so that we do not double count it. And over here we are ensuring that by saying that if a trade crossed is not equal to true, then skip that trade and continue. Basically, if a trade crossed is equal to true, means that the trade has crossed the spread and the trader executed the trade immediately for the best possible price they were getting in the market, and they did not wait. Over here we are getting the notional value, which basically is the execution price into execution size. And if it is infinite number, we will skip that trade as well. Here we are determining the direction of the sale. If the side is equal to B, it's a buy, else it's a sell. And if it's a liquidation trade, it will be saved in this variable and we will denote it using this. Then we will print the entire trade where we will print the tier ID or the tier tag, which is whale, mega whale or leviathan, basically above 50k, 250k or above 1 million. Then we are formatting the notional value in USD, then printing the coin. And the coins basically are BTC and ETH, which we defined here. We will learn more about that in the filter or how you define filter later on. Then the direction, which will be based on the side of the trade, then the execution price, execution size, and the trade ID. Now, this is where you write your filter, where we are subscribing to the stream of type trades. And for filters, we have coins and the values of coins which are coming from over here. So essentially what we are doing is we are subscribing to the stream for trades data, and we are just getting the trades where BTC and ETH is involved. Then we are getting that data and doing some filtration on the client side and printing all of that. These are just a few things to keep the stream alive. Now if we run the script, let me zoom in a little bit. Now I mentioned earlier that you should never have your API secrets in your environment file. What you can do is for testing purposes, you can do something like this, where you are mentioning that gRPC endpoint is equal to this, auth token is this, and run node index. So now you can see that our file is running and it should be looking for whale transactions where people are buying and selling ETH and BTC above 50k or above 250k or even above a million. So you can see that our script has already started printing few trades over here, and you can see there was a trade for 50k plus ETH which was sold, 100k plus ETH which was sold, and these were the top two trades in the last 30 seconds. And these were the top two trades again in the last 30 seconds. Nothing happened, but then there was this another trade of BTC selling of 50k plus, and then it keeps on printing for every upcoming trade which hits our threshold. So this is how you can use gRPC to set up your own HyperCore data streams.